Well, today is day 5 of the national lockdown, and Republic Media Network continues to make just one appeal. Stay home and maintain social distancing. This is the only way to tackle the coronavirus outbreak, which has claimed over 30,000 lives across the globe. On Republic Media Network, we continue to get you voices of experts, and if you have any questions, you can call us on the number that is also flashing on your screen, 022-624-31010. Straight away, cutting across to our guest. Joining me on this broadcast is Geeta Gandhi. She's an educationist and the president of the City Montessori Group of Schools based in Lucknow. And also joining us on the show is former Jammu and Kashmir DGP SP Vaid. Geeta, if I can first come across to you, because at this point it is social media and IT services that are hugely helping us during this crisis, not just to stay connected, not just to spread the awareness, but also e-commerce and e-deliveries that are now being done when it comes to essential services. Really wanting to understand from you, there are still large number of pockets in India, especially in the interiors, that are still not as tech savvy. How do we now go about reaching to these people, and also for people to be more aware and understand that these are the services they need to use at this point?
Yeah. In fact, in our school, when we are trying to use digital technologies to deliver education so that children's education can continue, because we do not know how prolonged this crisis will be, it could be protracted. So digital technologies are really helping to give a sense of normalcy, normality, and to give children routine and to continue their learning. Now, the difficulties we are facing are precisely the ones that you've mentioned. Those children that have left the city in order to go home to some of the villages from where they might have come, where their families have retired to during this crisis, those children are not able to connect to the digital technologies through which we are delivering the online learning. However, human ingenuity and human instinct for survival is strong. People are investing in their own, learning, how to quickly come up to speed from those who are around them, who know how to use it. Internet connectivity is an issue, and that the internet providers would need to really step up their game in order to provide those so that people can stay connected. That is indeed a lifeline for them, for their survival. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mr. Vaid, I want to bring you in because we are in the 5th day of the lockdown, and two kind of situations that we're really seeing on the ground. One is that the awareness of the lockdown is increasing. So a lot of people who are probably coming out of their homes on day 1, that number has now gone down, especially of the kind of checks that are being conducted. Also the situation of the migrant workers and probably the sense of panic where these migrant crowds wanted to cross the borders and go to their respective states. Going by your experience and how you have handled such situations, what is the best way to deal with it?
That's right. See, India is a huge country, and by and large, people are observing, not crossing the Lakshman Rekha of their homes, as Honorable Prime Minister had advised everyone. And I'm satisfied that by and large, all across the country, people are abiding by these guidelines of the government. But there are genuine problems in a country of the size of India, where labor in thousands and lakhs work in different metropolitan cities and other cities. They probably fearing that they will not get their necessities and food items at the places they are stationed. I think we need to focus on that. That is one grey area. If one person in that crowd is infected, he will infect hundreds and thousands of those migrants, workers who are running back home.
Right.
So a lot of focus by the state governments and district administration needs to be on that front.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Mr. Vaid, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you here, but for both our guests, our viewers have now begun to call. We first have Nasir, who's called from Kashmir. Nasir, Tell us your question and who do you want to put this question to?
Yeah, my name is Nasir. I'm not Nasir. And my question to the panel is that we have brought our citizens from various countries and given them the special gap for 5-6 days, and we have brought them back to the country. Why we have not given the same note for these laborers which are stuck at Delhi and other places? And rightly, the sir has said that if one person is infected, it will create a havoc in our country. So why we have not given them the time period for 4, 5, 6 days, or bring the special planes to them, to their native places or buses? The abrupt decision by the Prime Minister, I think it is a recipe for disaster. My question is simple, that one.
All right, Mr. Vaid, I believe you can answer that question. Take it, please.
Yeah, Nasir, these laborers are the poorest of the lot, and I think that's why I emphasized the Indian government had taken a lot of effort to bring all those students and other people of Indian origin settled in other parts of the country, other parts of the world like Iran, China, and other countries. They have been brought by air from those countries and brought back here and kept in quarantine. But these laborers and unorganized sector people, they number in not only in thousands, I think in lakhs. And that is a gray area where focus needs to be now, at least now we take care of that, and each district administration and each state has to take care of these. They should be kept in temporary camps wherever they are, and their supply, their food, their ration, all that should be taken care of by the state governments and the district administration.
All right, Mr. Vaid, I would like to discuss more on that point with you, but for the moment, our next caller, Senil, is calling from Mumbai. Senil, what's your question?
Yeah, hi, I am from Mumbai. My query is that government has taken a very good step for giving us a moratorium on EMIs, but the banks such as Kotak Bank and all these banks are still sending us the messages that we have to keep our balance ready to pay the EMI. So we just want to know that can we go to office and do our accounting work for that, or we have to sit at home and just wait for the things to reopen? So how do we manage this? On the one hand, government is telling that we have given moratorium, and these private banks are still messaging us that we have to pay the EMIs.
All right, Geeta, would you like to answer that?
Possible. Not that I'm an expert on this area, but that it is just possible that a lot of the messages that come from the banks and other financial intermediaries are messages that are routine messages that come regularly, that have been coming historically, with some periodicity. So it is possible that these messages are not deliberate messages that have been sent after the promulgation of the moratorium period on the EMIs. I think it is worth it to drop an email or a message to your bank to say that, is this a routine message or is this something that you're wanting us to make provision for? I think, of course, it is prudent to make provision, because even if there is a moratorium period at the moment, there shall come a time when these shall become payable, of course, probably without penalty. But it is worth it, it's prudent financial planning to make provision for them and to stand by so that you're ready to pay them when the time comes, when the lockdown is over. So I think that would be prudent.
All right, so Senil, at this point, yes, do try and get in touch with your bank and try and use e-services, see what the bank says. Probably that could be a way out. For the moment, thank you for calling us. Hariram is now calling us from Delhi. Hariram, what's your question?
I am basically a student of Savitribai Phule Pune University, and I am pursuing B.Tech, and I am a first-year student. So basically, my exams are usually occurring in month of May. So the situation is like this. The syllabus is not yet over up to 50% yet. It is only completed till 30 to 40%. So, and in this worst situation,
all right, I believe we get your question, Hariram and Geeta. A lot of students are slightly worried at this point because they have their careers to follow and a lot of exams that have not been conducted. Also, what situation does this put them in vis-a-vis their next entrance exams, of applying further, of their further studies? So what would you really like to say to students by large at this time?
I think the main thing I would say is have patience. The educational institutions and the institutions that govern those educational institutions, the AICTE, the UGC, the various higher education accrediting bodies and examination bodies, are working out ways of dealing with this unprecedented crisis. Because it is absolutely unprecedented, there are no ready-to-answer solutions. However, everybody is on the case and working out how to do it. For example, it could be that people shall be tested, students shall be tested only on the portions of the curriculum, the syllabus, that has been already covered. So, for example, if 40% of the syllabus has been covered, maybe there would be online testing of just that 40% of the curriculum based on, for instance, OMR sheets or, Google Forms. Technological ways, online ways of assessing people's attainment and then promoting them on the basis of those. It is possible to have multiple choice questions, ways of delivering assessments. So I think that the main thing to say is that life comes first. And our Prime Minister is absolutely right that if health is there, then everything is there. This is, I believe, a postponement. It is not a cancellation of lives. This is a postponement, and every aspect of life has had to be suspended for the time being. So what I would say to students is, don't panic. We know that many of your parents have made huge economic sacrifices to put you through college, to put you through university. And you are naturally, very understandably, extremely worried and concerned. However, look after yourselves. For the moment, do not worry about it. Try to study at home as much as you can. You have your textbooks. You don't need necessarily to have a teacher to support you. If you can talk to your lecturers by phone, do so. There's so much learning available on the net. Your textbooks are there. Self-study is a fantastic way of bringing up your knowledge. Knowledge is not locked up and it's not been cancelled. So keep up your work and just have patience. You can be sure that those agencies are working overtime to find a solution for your problems.
Absolutely. And Hariram, important to understand that this is a national crisis that everyone is facing, whether they hail from whichever walk of life. So when it comes to institutions also, they will also factor in the conditions that all the students are facing at this point. I hope that answers your question also. Surendra is now calling us from Bengaluru. Surendra, what's your question? All right, not too sure if Surendra is still connected with us, but Geeta, exactly how we were talking about how Hariram is feeling at this point. Most students are going through that sentiment. They are worried because they have their careers, their whole lives ahead of this, and they're obviously wondering that this time gap that has now come in, will it really delay them or delay that span in that sense? But obviously, to understand that institutions at their end are also planning at backhand to understand that if they have to cover up on this particular period, I'm sure there are plans in place for that.
Yes, I think that they will be working overtime to create those plans and to plan out how to deal with the evolving situation. In fact, the situation is very fast moving. We really did not know just a few days ago that there will be a lockdown, the length of period of that lockdown, and indeed, we do not know whether after this 3-week period of lockdown, whether there will be another more prolonged period. So it is an evolving situation. Everybody is having to think on the hoof. Everybody is having to plan as the situation unfolds. I believe that the examination boards and boards that arrange examinations, such as the IIT, JEE, etc., the CBSE board and other boards, are indeed watching the situation and will come up with appropriate plans to deal with the situation as it unfolds, depending on how long the lockdown period is, depending on what is feasible. I think that these are unprecedented times, so it is very, very difficult to plan ahead. And we are a very complex nation with so many exam boards and so many diverse situations. So I think that it is well nigh impossible to say with any degree of precision what will happen. So I think that the best advice that I can muster.
Absolutely. And Geeta, the bigger problem that we are staring at is the fact that was there a window to really prepare? Because Mr. Vaid, even when we were talking about migrant workers, this is one point of view that is coming in, that shouldn't more time have been given? But fact remains that India has implemented the lockdown at a very early stage to be able to contain the pandemic so that it does not get out of hand. So do we also understand somewhere that there probably wasn't enough time to prepare and plan more, and probably the government has done whatever it was in its means to be able to do the best so that essential services do not suffer. At the same time, the lockdown can be followed, and that is a message that by and large the country must understand that it is an evolving situation. We have to cope with it.
Absolutely, and let me reiterate it. It has already been said. All across the world, the action by Government of India and Honorable Prime Minister of India has been commended. And with a country of our size, there was apprehension of huge number of cases and deaths. So far, because of early actions of the government, we are able to control these numbers and the deaths. I think the right decisions have been taken, but we now need to enforce whatever has been required by the government. And my appeal through you to every Indian is, even countries with advanced infrastructure of health have almost collapsed in front of COVID-19, and the only way is, please restrict yourself to your homes. Your social distancing is very, very important, and this is the only way we can control it. Next 3 weeks are very, very crucial. So my appeal to every Indian citizen is, please avoid. After all, our freedom fighters lived in the jails for months together and years together. Can't we stay in our homes and in isolation for 3 weeks or 3 months?
All right, Mr. Vaid and Geeta as well, thank you so much for talking to us and really helping us understand how to tackle with the situation better.